My scripture reading this morning is taken from Matthew's 21st chapter, the 17th through the 22nd verse. And he left them and went out of the city into Bethany, and he lodged there. Now in the morning, as he returned into the city, he hungered, and when he saw a fig tree in the way, he came to it and found nothing thereon, but leaves only. And he said unto it, Let no fruit grow on thee henceforward forever. And presently the fig tree withered away. And when the disciples saw it, they marveled, saying, How soon is the fig tree withered away? Jesus answered and said unto them, Verily I say unto you, if ye have faith and doubt not, ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also, if ye shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done. And all things, whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive. This is the scripture reading of Matthew, the 21st chapter, the 17th through the 22nd verse. Good morning again. This morning I want to talk to you about faith. Something which is absent in the consciousness and the minds of many. There are many that believe in God, but there are only a few that have faith. Now, there's three levels to this spiritual path of growth and unfoldment. There are those that believe. There are those that have faith. And there are those that know. There are the believers. There are those with faith. And those that know. When we believe, and for the many that believe, doesn't necessarily mean that they're exercising faith. For those that believe in God, doesn't necessarily mean that they're exercising faith or have trust in God. Many can believe, or many do believe, but are still not able to demonstrate the power of faith. As the scripture states, if ye believe, if ye have faith, and doubt not, ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree. Now we must bear in mind that this is the master teacher Jesus speaking to his disciples, saying to them, and not only are he speaking to the disciples that was present there, but he is speaking to all of those that have followed his teachings down through the ages. if ye have faith and doubt not, the things which he has demonstrated, ye shall do also. And so the question is, are you demonstrating, are you bringing into manifestation according to your faith? When we have faith and doubt not, it eliminates the fear of everything that exists outside of us. It eliminates the stress, the worry, the confusion, the thoughts of limits, limitations, and the thoughts of lack. When we have faith, for those of us that have studied the philosophies and the teachings of metaphysics, we are taught that mind, M-I-N-D, when you apply mind, mind activates principle. Universal consciousness principle. Mind activates principle, and principle brings into manifestation. When mind activates principle, we are using faith because we believe by putting into practice that which we have accepted and know to be the truth. We trust that that which we have used to activate universal principles will manifest. Now, the master teacher was teaching that if you have faith, there is nothing that you cannot do. But still, for us that believe only, and I say belief is the first rung of the ladder. You have to go from belief to faith to knowing. When you get to that state of consciousness or awareness wherein you know you have transcended belief and faith, you know. I want to share with you a few stories in the Bible that you might be aware of in accordance to faith. You know, there's a scripture that states that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Whatever it is that you believe within yourself is what you manifest or demonstrate in your life. There's a story about Jesus walking on the water. And if I recall, it was a storm. And while the disciples were in the boat, awakened by the storm, they looked out and saw Jesus. And Jesus called unto Peter and said, "Come unto me." And Peter stepped out of the boat onto the waters, walking towards Jesus. And all of a sudden, he realized that he was doing something that he was not supposed to be doing. And he fell. And Jesus stretched out his hand and lifted him up. O ye of little faith. When we start to internalize that there is something that we cannot do, we neutralize the power of our faith. When we internalize that we are the manifestation and the expression of God, God being all power, and if we are that manifestation and expression of God individualized, we must know that we have the power. It is only by the strengthening of our faith that we are able to demonstrate the things that are called or seem to be miraculous. There are no miracles in life. The miracles appear to those that do not understand the principles, to those that do not have the faith, to those that do not know. And so I come to share with you that which I have been blessed with and the things that I have demonstrated in my life. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of the things that I have experienced in my life, but I will share this with you. I always, as a young man, wanted to be a musician. I wanted to do things that a lot of people couldn't do or didn't know how I did it. But when I start to read the Bible and the things that Jesus demonstrated, the things that Jesus said that I could do, if I followed the teachings. And you heard me say many times, I don't teach anything that I haven't tried and put into practice myself. And if it works for me, it will work for anyone that follows the instructions and strengthens their faith. Now I'm going to share something with you. And I might have shared this with you before. So I want you to tie up your shoes and put on your seat belt. In the scripture wherein Jesus caused the fig tree to wither because it bare no fruit. And his disciples marveled at such power. But the power that they was recognizing in Jesus was also the power within them. But they had not come to that understanding. The fig tree. Many years ago, as I would say back home, in my grandmother's grandfather's tree yard was a fig tree. They were from the deep south and they came to Richmond, and I think my grandfather brought some fig seeds along with him and he planted a fig tree in his backyard. And the fig tree in the summertime was a place where all the children would gather and climb into the tree and eat the figs. And sometimes, well, we called the grandfather, we called him Papa. Papa would come out there and the children would be in that fig tree and he would raise holy hooty hooty. And sometimes at night, in late evenings when we would be in that fig tree, Papa would come out with his 22 rifle and shoot up in the air and chase us off. My grandfather and my grandmother made their transition. And some years later, I went back home. My uncle lived right next to the property. And as I was standing on this porch one day in mid-July, I happened to look over my grandparents' yard at the fig tree, which was dead. Not a leaf. It was bare, dead. And I said to my uncle, "What happened to the fig tree?" He said, "Died." I thought about all the memories, the times we had spent in the fig tree. So I said to my uncle, "I'm going to go down here and pray on this fig tree." He said, "Well, you go ahead and pray. I don't know what that's going to do." So I went down and I prayed. And I put my hands on the fig tree and I blessed it. And I thanked the fig tree for all the years that it had given us figs and for the times that we had enjoyed. Went back up to my uncle's, and as it's customary for us to do, to have a few beers. And afterwards, I made my journey back home to Washington, D.C. Went down to see my uncle again in September. And as we were standing out on the back porch, sitting out on the back porch, drinking beer, I happened to look over in my grandparents' yard. And there was the fig tree, full of leaves. And I said to my uncle, "Do you see that tree?" Here he had never noticed the tree in the last 3 months or so. And I went down over into my grandmother's yard to the fig tree, and there were figs. There were figs. I did not accept the fact that the tree was dead. And I followed what Jesus had said. If you have faith and doubt not, greater things than these shall you do. And we on the spiritual path, we are called to demonstrate that faith until we get to a point of consciousness where we can say, "I know that I am that I am, that I know that God and I are one. There is no separation." Paul said to those that believe was given the power to become the sons and daughters of God. If you are not demonstrating that power and that faith, where are you on the family tree? What is it that you believe about yourself? Oh, ye of little faith, why is it that you are allowing the things of the outer world to dominate, to overrule, override the power of God within you? And you're worried, and you're frustrated about the things that are going on in the world, as opposed to focusing and being concerned about the things that are going on within you and what you can do to bring forth the power of the Spirit within you. Matthew 11, 30th verse, the Spirit of God is speaking. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. We are willing to take on the heaviness and all the worldly burdens that consistently drives us down into the ground rather than to take the yoke of God upon us and have a life of harmony and peace and joy. Not having to be concerned about being overloaded. You know, sometimes they say at work, I got more on my plate than I can handle. God is not going to put more on your shoulders than you can carry. And when you're yoked up with that Spirit of God within you, as you go through life, the things that you desire, having the faith and knowing that you are one with, comes without effort. You don't have to break your back. You don't have to rack your brains. You see, we're at a point in consciousness where we don't have to earn our living by the sweat of our brow, but by the Spirit of God within us. I know that it takes some doing for one to strengthen one's faith, but you have to work at it day by day, a little bit, every day. You will get to a point where you will start to see not only the transformation that is taking place within you, but the transformation that is taking place in your environment. Because you are allowing the Spirit of God to work in you and through you. You've heard it said so many times, let go and let God. Lean not unto your own understanding. We like to think that we know everything. You know, we get to a certain point, you know, when we're at home, we have to listen to the parents. And we say, I'll be so glad when I get grown so I can be on my own. I won't have to listen to what these folks are saying. I can make my own decision and do like I want to do. But let me tell you something. When you leave home, although you're 21, you still have to answer to someone. God. You still have to answer. And if you haven't learned the lessons that you need to learn at home, life will teach it to you. And when life teaches it to you, life doesn't know anything about your pain. Life doesn't know anything about your suffering. All life knows is that it has to get you to a certain level of consciousness where you know that you're in the flow. Right now, we need to start to develop our faith. Right now, we need to start having more trust in God. Because as we look out in the world, at the world, we see a lot of things and we are wondering what this old world is coming to. It's not so much about what this old world is coming to. It's about what the world within you is coming to. Are you going to rise above the fray, or are you going to be drawn down into it? And it's only by the faith of God, by your trust and your acceptance that you are the consciousness, the spirit, and the light of God, manifesting and expressing in and through a physical body. We have the faith. It's right there. It's always been there. Are we willing to go down deep within us the door of this inner faith that has always been within us and bring it up into a level of awareness and consciousness where we can demonstrate, where we can do the things that Jesus taught and demonstrated. Why look at yourself and say that I can't? We know we've heard the scripture where it says, with all things, or with God, all things are possible. If we are one with God in consciousness and spirit, there is nothing that we cannot do. Yet I'm reminded that there are some people that are afraid of the spirit and the power within them. If you are afraid of the power and the spirit within you, or if you are afraid of what you are capable of doing or manifesting, if you truly turn within, then you have a fear of God. You have a fear of life. It's like the person on the job. They're in one position. And there's a position that's opening that's a little higher than where they are. Management. And I've heard it said so many times to me, well, I don't want to be a manager because that's too much work. I want to stay down here right where I am and not have a whole lot of problems and concerns and all of this. And so they don't progress. And it's the same thing with the spiritual path. I don't want to commit myself to meditating. I don't want to commit myself to bringing forth the truth and the light within me because I don't want the responsibility. You've already hindered your spiritual growth and unfoldment. And I would say to those people on the job that didn't want to move forward, you know, when you have faith and trust in God as you're moving forward and you're saying that you can't do or you don't have the expertise that is needed, God is going to supply you with everything that you need when you're moving forward on the spiritual path. God is not going to put you in an environment and not equip you with everything that you need to do the job that has to be done. Why have fear? Why not let go and let God? We want to be so in control that we don't want to make God a part of what we're doing. Some of us believe that God might mess it up. Some of us believe that God might do something to us that we don't want done. And there are still some of us that think that God just don't know or understand. I remember a long time ago, been more than 50 some years ago, I was at a point in my life where I thought I had did everything, seen everything. There was nothing else for me to do but die. And I came pretty close to that. But when I realized that I was at death's door, I said, God, give me another chance. I'm not ready. And I said, I'll never forget these words. I said, God, you gave me this life, and I done messed it up. I don't know what to do with it. I'm giving it back to you. And then I realized, after a period of time, that I hadn't done everything. I hadn't seen everything. But when I start to turn within and accept that God spirit and consciousness within me, a whole new life opened up for me. There was things that I had never seen, words that I had never heard, feelings that I had never felt, peace and joy that I had never known. I have the faith. Not only do I have the faith, but I know. I know that God and I are one. No separation. And I know, without a doubt, because I have no doubt within me, that the power that was demonstrated in and through the man Jesus is also the power within me. It is also the power within you. If you are willing to have the faith to bring it forth and to demonstrate it in your life. This is one of the reasons why you're upon this path. This is one of the reasons why you came into this existence, to exhibit, to demonstrate, and to manifest the power of God within you this day and every day for the rest of your life. Have faith. God bless you and thank you.